Of course, we're talking about the International Anti-Corruption Day, and we have in the studio a lawyer, of course, Ahmed Abbas, and another lawyer with me as well, Bosun Oshifowora. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us at this point.
Thank you.
All right, so I will read you something from the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. It says here, corruption is criminal, immoral, and the ultimate betrayal of public trust. It's even more damaging in times of crisis, as the world is experiencing now with the COVID-19 pandemic. The response to the virus is creating new opportunities to exploit weak oversight and inadequate transparency, diverting funds away from people in their hour of greatest need. Now that we're talking about this, what's your take?
Well, we saw how everything panned out, and it's sad that when you call the name Nigeria, it's as if corruption goes
hand in
hand with the name, and it's very sad. And also, if we look at it in respect to this administration that actually came in with the campaign, with the mantra that we're coming to, by now you think the word corruption will be out of the dictionary in Nigeria, but it's unfortunate that majority of those, even in government, have not fared well. We saw a few of your snippets on, the Off Your Mic series and all that. I mean, it's a shame. And then also we saw the way, going by what the UN Secretary General said, we saw how the whole palliative things panned out. At some point we saw the minister saying, no, I gave out money. Then, everybody was like, we didn't see.
For birthdays.
Yeah, and then we now saw what happened with the palliative. Then you saw there was some news you brought up earlier where, some young people took it upon themselves that we have to trace this money.
Yeah.
These monies have been shown to have gone out of the coffers. But where the money went, who gave to who, we can't find. So corruption is still very endemic. Corruption is still very present with us. And in as much as, we have to speak for our constituency, the judiciary, the courts are really trying, everybody's putting in their best. But at the end of the day, you find out that the agencies that are actually supposed to stamp out corruption, they're not doing their best to get this done.
Okay. Ahmed, some index came up to say that the judiciary is the most corrupt entity in Nigeria. Well, looking at all of this, how are we faring in our fight against corruption with that index coming up?
Well, thank you. I do not know where they got that index from. I would say the judiciary is trying its best, but as a student of Nigerian history, I must admit that we are very, very far from the promised land when it comes to corruption. Like
Why
my
do you
brother,
think so?
If you interrogate every aspect of our life, whether from the legal angle, he's a lawyer, he will tell you the reality. Go to your court and file papers. If you do not bribe, your papers may not get to the court.
So that's the reality.
No, see, I'm just being... See, we are here to inform Nigerians, educate them, and bring the reality of what we are going through to the fore. It's actually so endemic that there is no facet of our life that you interrogate that you will not meet the mountain of corruption. Go to the civil service here in Alausa. They say Lagos State is a state of excellence. You are a lawyer. How long does it take you to apply for a certificate of occupancy on behalf of people? It's as simple that you even pay more unofficial fees than you pay official fees. I'm just taking it very rudimentary. You go to your passport office here, a traveling document. You cannot get a Nigerian passport without bribing immigration officers. You want a driving license that authorizes you to drive a car on the road. You cannot get a valid driving license except you bribe the federal road safety officials. You can't go to court. You are a lawyer before God and man. You can't go to any police station in this country and bail a client, whether innocent or not, without being compelled by the institution of the police to pay bribe.
Best bail is free.
Wait. That's in theory. In theory. The IG himself knows quite all right. The CP, they know. Except we are, you see, the pain I have as a person, as a Nigerian, is that most times we live in denial. We just want people to be politically correct. Everything is okay. And when you try to state the reality, those in the corridors of government will simply label you as an enemy of the state. An average, if you open your telephone lines now and ask Nigerians to phone in and tell you their encounter with the behemoth called corruption, you will weep. My brother said something. I have coined a philosophy. I said every nation has a signature. When you mention United States of America, there's a picture that lives and engraft itself to your imagination. But when you mention the name Nigeria, the picture and the adjective that qualifies us as a people is corruption.
And that seems to be affecting every facet of our lives. When we go abroad.
Yes, yes. They see us as corrupt people. The honest is that not all Nigerians are corrupt, but the system is skewed in such a way. Okay, you take the custom, for example. Call the custom and clearing agents. Whether your paper is valid or not valid, you've paid all your taxes and rates. If you do not bribe the custom officer, you can be sure that your goods may enter into demurrage deliberately. Why do you have custom officers leaving the borders to come to the city center into supermarkets to confiscate goods? How did those goods in the first instance, how did those cars in the first instance? If you interrogate, sometimes people will clear their goods from Tin Can Island, and there will be a task force waiting for them at Oshodi or at the toll gate to arrest them for a vehicle that was cleared from the port. These cars didn't develop wings. They came out of the gate. So the system is such that the institutions that are there to enforce, compliance, they themselves have been compromised to such an extent that God save us.
All right, Bosu Oshifora, let me have your thoughts on the fight against corruption in Nigeria. He has given us a huge view, but how do we get to a point? Oh, first of all, how did we get to this point?
I think we got here but deliberately. Because what happened is, like he said, if you're trying to speak the truth, you're trying to stand up for the truth, everybody goes like, I'm so happy today I was driving, and there were cars on this Oron-Shoki Expressway. And there was someone with me, and I said, like, how about the people in this car? Why didn't they stop the driver from taking the one way? And the next person sitting behind us was like, they want to get home on time, so they don't care how it happens. Now, most times, it's not as if we don't know what is right. Now, but you just look at it that you put one and one together and like, okay, if it favors me, then it's fine. Now, the moment we started having that attitude, then things started going south. That's why we're here. Now, you find that there are institutions that are charged with this thing. We've had people who came out to stamp out corruption, and they've been taken out of office, even by the same people who put them there to stamp this thing out. So then they bring somebody who, once upon a time in this country, NAFDAC, we knew what was happening. Now, it's a shadow of what it used to be. Now, but I think we need to bring back the institutions, not just individuals. Now, you need the individuals to clean the stable. But at the same time, we need to really say, okay, this is what we stand for. Look at America. Like you said, Trump almost messed up the country, but the institutions stood. And people stood that, no, this is our country. This is the only thing we have. So until we start standing up against evil, and it's not until you become president. It starts from where you are. Like, no, I had to park in front of a car that you won't go through this one way. I stood there, wasted like 30 minutes of my time, but it can't continue. We need to start standing up from where we are, and that's how it's going to happen. Because if we leave it like this, we may not have a country in the near future.
But we have people who have the mindset that it has to start from the top. No.
It starts from where you are. It starts from where you are. The gate man who wants to collect money from you, report him. Then most times we don't report. You just feel, oh.
Even when you report, is anything done?
Most times when you report, people sit right. It's just a culture of impunity. You know, the greatest problem, corruption is secondary. The greatest problem is that there's nobody disciplining anybody. So because you know nothing, if you know nothing will happen to you here, you don't report to anybody. You sit anyhow. There's a way we have to sit here. There's a way we have to conduct. But if you know nobody is watching you, nobody's going to sanction you, you can stand on this table. and nothing will happen. That is what is happening now. So we have to start standing up and challenging things. By the time we do that, if 1, 2, 3 people stand up, people will sit right. The bad thing is that those who perpetrate corruption, they're scared. But because they go unchallenged, the thing festers. So the moment people start standing up, if you shout, look at LASMA. By the time, with phones now, people know you can record and all that. LASMA, good people, fantastic job. But you have, and what's sad about corruption? Just 2 out of 100 will mess up the entire reputation of the 100. That's what's happening now.
Ahmed, in all of this, where do we go from here? How do we change this mindset? Because it has become endemic. It's everywhere now.
Very, very simple. The president alone cannot fight corruption.
Yes.
That's why you have institutions. The institutions are extended arms of the government.
Are they strong enough to aid his fight?
They have the capacity, but the political will is what we do not have presently.
How come we always mention the political will?
Let me explain. Nuhu Ribadu came. He had the passion to fight corruption. He was fighting corruption. And along the line, a government came that had people who didn't like his ideology, who felt he was not compromising enough, who felt you need to create space for the big boys. Turn your eyes. Pretend you don't know what we are doing. The man said, no, I was employed to do a job and I will do it. They used political power to take him out of the system. Not only that, they sent him to policy and strategic school. Cool. They were not satisfied with that. They felt we will need to deal with this guy for stepping on toes. They abducted him from a classroom within the confines of policy and strategic school. He escaped assassination several times. That is the cost implication of trying to fight corruption. Which of the EFCC chairmen that were not eased out of office? Waziri said, I quote her, she said they removed her out of office because from the presidency, she was called to drop certain investigation. Okonjo-Iweala told you it is dangerous fighting corruption. In her book, she was almost messed up. So that's why I said the political will, those who wield political power should allow law enforcement agencies to do their work. Because the greatest problem now is you find people there who wants to read the body language of the president to know, should I do my job? The responsibility, the functions of these agencies are well spelled out. If you allow meritocracy, employ the services of competent chief executive officers for this job and allow them to do their job, there is no problem bedeviling Nigeria that we do not have competent, passionate men and women. If the system is corrupt,
then how will the heads of agencies do their jobs that were appointed by the government?
That is it. That is it. See, if you allow, the institutions have the capacity to do their job very well. What you need to do is, sometimes we say we need strong institutions. And one man defined strong institutions as the extended shadows of men. In other words, it takes men of strong ethical values to build strong institutions. If you want to build strong institutions, bring people that will not read your body language, who will do their job, and you allow the culture of succession. Because you see, when, like he said about NAFDAC, Akunyili came and brought her life. I mean, she breathed into almost a moribund dead organization. Values of hard work, of integrity. And NAFDAC became an international organization, winning awards, and was even consulting for several several nations on how to, fight drug counterfeiting. When they should have allowed her to run her tenure and seek her opinion on who succeed her. Because, you see, when you run an organization for about 4 years, ethically, you will know employees and subordinates that imbibe similar culture. And you recommend to say, for continuation of this strong leadership style, 1, 2, 3 persons I think are competent and they have the capability to. When you allow such leadership to govern and rule or run such organization for a lengthy period of time, the culture of excellence, of integrity becomes a lifestyle. And when anyone comes into the system and does not have that culture, the system has a way of easing the person out.
Okay, so it's going to take a while, quite a while. But what are the importance of civil society groups in ensuring that Nigeria fights corruption effectively?
Well, like I said, if we don't want this country to disappear, literally, then we need to keep shouting. The thing with civil societies is they can't do much other than calling out. These days now, when you're called out, it's time to sit right. Yeah. And then, given what happened with the NSAS movement, it was just something that we've never seen that kind of thing. It's not, we've had similar, instances, but we saw something that people just got fed up with a way of life that was not normal. And before you could say Jack, everybody just rallied around themselves and fine, it didn't pan out well enough the way they wanted it to be. But civil societies, not just civil societies now, individuals, we have to keep calling people and institutions out. That's the only way. That's the only, because you can't take up arms, you can't face the government head on, they will crush you. Now, so the best way to go about it is keep shouting, keep talking, and we will not relent. Then also, don't join the fray. Because I attended a seminar once, some guy, Kunle Shorinyo, he said something which I never forgot, almost 20 years now. He was trying to define integrity for us. He said that integrity is not stealing, lack of it is not stealing money or doing big things. He said if you set an alarm for 5 a.m. and it rings and you look at it and you put it off and you sleep back, you don't have integrity.
Oh, okay.
If we start looking at things from little angles like that, then that's how we will build our nation.
So it means that a lot of us might not have integrity there.
Then we have to build it. We have to build it.
Okay, so in this war against corruption, like you said earlier, the president cannot do it alone. For lawyers, the judiciary, how can they strengthen this fight?
You see, the legal profession is actually positioned to help, fight corruption in the nation in several ways, several platforms. You see, the law enforcement agencies, for example, the lawyers, relate more with law enforcement agencies. Now, I'm going to speak from my own personal example, and I am before the entire world. You see, the police institution is corrupt today in terms of its relationship with citizens because the lawyers condone so many things. This is my constituency, and I will not spare them at all. When you go to bail a client in the police station, there are lawyers that connive with police officers to extort money from clients. Yes, they do it. The police give lawyers specific amount of money. Before you can bail your client, we need 250,000, we need 200,000. And this lawyer will go to his client and say, I need about 300,000 or 400,000 naira. Wow. Very unethical. I'm saying it. Some clients will even tell you, I've had situations where I say, we will not. And I say, no, lawyer, please just get me out here. Anyhow, I just want to get out here. Anything they ask us, let us just give them and get out here. I have had to tutor some clients that, look, it's just the psychology of fear. The heavens will not fall. Sometimes can I relate a bank manager introduced 2 clients who had lawyers acting on their behalf for 2.5 years. They did business, were making profit, traveling all over the place. The business went sour. And one of the parties went to the police to say, well, he was the one who introduced us. The other one swindled his partner, and the police now said the bank manager has to pay. And I said, no. When you were making profit, did you invite the manager? He said, no. What is his offense? Introducing 2 parties who have legal practitioners acting on their behalf, doing business for over 2.5 years, making profit. You didn't come back to tell him, thank you for introducing us to this profitable business, but now there's problem. And the police insisted, I'm talking of Zone 2. I will have to mention name. Insisted that this man should cough out the money. I now said, what is his offense in introducing two customers? They insisted that he should go and bring about 1.5 million naira. And I said, in which pocket will you keep the money if we even bring it out? I said, look at, and I told him point blank, I said, I do not belong to that class of Nigerians. I said, it's reinforcing that habit. If I compromise, you are reinforcing a very bad value system. And that is what has been happening. They see it as a right. I had to train this manager. I said, listen to me, you will not die. Please, can you take this? The worst they can do is to inconvenience you for a night. By tomorrow morning, I said, worst case, they will charge you to court. And I think I'm more comfortable going to the court to apply for your bail than applying for bail in the police. Because any day they are hungry, they can just reopen your file. So I compelled them the following day. I had to tell all the family members, I said, get ready. We got ourselves, we were in court the following day because I told them, I said, I will not be part of this insanity. It is insane. They took him to court and they granted him bail. And that matter died a natural death because there was no evidence. So I told him, I said, you should have used your professional training and technology to track the party that has run away, because one of the parties actually duped his partner and ran away. I said, you should be tracking. His phones are on. Use your technology as a police officer. You know, I won't spare them. You know the funny part? I went to see a senior officer and complained. He told the man to say, please. I told him, I said, I know the innocence of this man. I'm willing to stand for him. We'll produce him anytime, any day. If you want him 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, we'll bring him. This is an innocent man. The senior officer said, oh, release him to the lawyer. He said he'll produce him anytime he wants. You know, when we left his office, this man refused to release him. It was later when I was investigating, I now discovered that when we left the senior officer, they called him. Release him only when he does the needful. Because I was livid, I said, your superior instructed you to release a client to me. So I was angry. And one of the officers, a lady now called me and said, oh, God, don't be angry with her. Do you know whether when you left your guy, he called the boy and said until he needs the needful. So when you have a junior, so like we said, look, until the return system, in some of these security agencies, the Federal Road Safety, the police, they all have a return system. That's the honest truth. The ordinary man on the street who decides to collect five...
If I could hold brief for the police, yes. I'd been at an area command before. I think it was somewhere around Moe. And I got there early with a client. There was some issue that came up. And before you could say anything, I saw somebody hawking bail bonds.
What?
The bail bonds. You know those things you feel?
Yeah.
With bail bonds, statement forms, and all that. It was with Nigerian police inscription on it. They were hawking it. Now, then the police were buying it with their own funds. Wow. Now, so how... I mean, we come here, we vilify police every time. You have bad eggs. In every institution, you have funny individuals. But I saw them buy with their own funds. At some point, I had to ask that, Oga, what's going on? They said, they don't give us. And they had to work. Now, so sometimes they work under some very horrible conditions and situations.
But does that justify the corruption endemic?
That doesn't justify the corruption, but if a police officer buys all the materials that is supposed to be supplied from the headquarters with his money, you think he's going to release you on bail for free? No. That won't happen. So it's a problem that is from the top. Now, he wanted to work. That's why he decided he could jolly well not buy it. And whatever happens, he will say there's no bail bond. He will go, he will just leave you the day they supply them. That means that your own fundamental right is now being infringed upon, because if there are no necessary materials for him to work, then that means he won't release you. No, but he took it upon himself to buy it. And I've seen things like that. Some of them have to pay for uniforms. Some of them have to pay for their things and all that. I'll give you another example. Some time back, I know, maybe, I guess by now I should have been corrected. The leading criminal investigative institution in Nigeria. I was there. They wanted to go for a course, an international stuff. They were going, I think, to Southern Africa, they were scrambling for money by themselves to pay from their pocket. So where is training? Then you come out and say that the FCC officials are not acting well, they're not properly trained. So if you have to pay with your own funds, then at the end of the day, the backlash, the ripple effect is that it will come on the people because they will make the individuals pay for things. If I'm running an office with my own funds, it's not a charitable organization. So definitely I have to recoup. I have family, I have school fees, I have things. They all have the same things we do. So how do you want them to make up for it? You want them to go home and the wife, I mean, you trust our women. They will go like, okay, this job you're doing, if he's not paying you, resign. I mean, you don't curse God and die kind of thing. That's it.
In support, because I am a very balanced person when it comes to, itemizing problem, pinpointing them, and profiling solution. On the government side, I agree with him totally. They failed the entire police. If you go to some of their offices, if you go to Zone 2, there are officers that live in Songwater who work here. Sometimes they don't go home. For Monday to Friday, they don't go home. But if you see where they sleep, to be able to report for duty the following day, you go to an average police station, like he rightly said, covering an area of hundreds of thousands or millions of people on a monthly basis. They don't even get 10,000 naira as operational cost. How? You have calls coming in every day by day for one report or the other, one police service or the other. I agree with him. It's a tradition. It didn't start yesterday. It didn't start 10 years ago. The police have been buying their uniform. And that's why I'm giving you an experiment. When you go out today, please just look about 10 police officers, check their shoes. You will see some are bought from Ushodi, some from K2, some in Ikeja, and all the rest of them. That is a problem that the police, go to their barracks and see the condition of their living. What is their remuneration? What is their take-home pay? So we agree totally. It's a problem. That doesn't give them the right. We must be able to draw the line that they can't visit the scene of the federal government on Nigerians. They are victims. Nigerians are also victims. So there must be an empathy that we are all victims of a system that is not working, that is tilted towards those in the corridors of power and not the average Nigerian.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for talking to us on this. Today is International Anti-Corruption Day. Of course, I had Ahmed Abbas and Bosun Oshifora. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for talking to us on this and giving us your insight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.